Okay, all right. Welcome everyone to Connecting Community Initiative Committee Meeting, March 12th, 2026 at 6:33 p.m. Lily, would you read the?
I'd be delighted. Julie Chalfant is just joining us, by the way.
All right, great.
Okay, I would like to share with everybody, because I know you're dying to know, that certain meetings normally held at municipal offices are being held remotely with adequate alternative means of public access, and where required, public participation provided in accordance with House Bill number 62 of the 194th General Court, which extended the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 20, until June 30th, 2027. Our meetings are typically broadcast on Frontier Community Access Television and are available on YouTube.
Excellent. Thank you, Lily.
And here comes Alex. Excellent.
Oh, good. Great. Okay. So just reminding you of our meeting guidelines, please speak one at a time, follow Deerfield Code of Conduct, be respectful, considerate, courteous, concise, and non-repetitive. And when you want to speak, either raise your little emoji hand or your real hand, and I will call on you. And if you speak out of turn, I will holler at you. Okay? Maybe not, but all right. So let's see, I'm going to do a roll call. So John Stacy.
Here.
But we will be okay. All right. Julie Chalfant. You're here. Yep. Okay. Lily's here. Tim, you're here. Andrew's here. I'm here. MA, you're here. Mark Brennan's here. Alex is here. Carolyn's here. Okay, Ben is here for Anna Lee. And as I said earlier, Pete Law and Carrie are unable to make it, but I have the reports. All right. So has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from February 12th, 2026? Are there any corrections, additions?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, just raise your hand. Okay, good. Great. Some minutes. All right, we're going to get on to committee update reports. Excuse me. Does anybody have to leave the meeting early? Because if so, Julie, why don't you go first then?
I'll be fairly quick. Also, I have to leave at 7.
Okay.
So Finance Committee has been meeting like mad, and we are through a hefty portion of the budget line items. I expect by the end of this month, we will have gone through everything once. On the 30th, we're doing a 3-town Finance Committee meeting, and we're going to review South County Senior Center and South County EMS, all 3 towns together. So we'll see how that goes. That could be a circus, but hopefully it will go well. And I'm very interested in hearing what the other towns think about the budgets as we present them at the same time. And it also saves, like South County EMS and South County Senior Center, they only go to 1 meeting instead of 3 meetings. So hopefully it will be beneficial in both directions. At the moment, we're about 175,000 in the hole. So our projected revenues are 175,000 less than the requests we have in hand. We've been discussing ways to get through this. I think that I'm pretty confident that we will be able to get there, and we will be able to meet it this year without a Prop 2.5 override. But there will be some maneuvering to get to that point. So I don't know, and we're in the midst of everything still.
Hey, Julie, I just have a question. Is that, are you taking into consideration anything, because you were at our CIPC meeting? Is that taking that into consideration?
With no capital, and also no snow and ice. And this is a big snow and ice year. Okay. So it's going to be very challenging. Yeah.
Okay.
We do have capital stabilization that we put money into. So
right. Okay.
There may be the opportunity if people, like, I don't run the world, I just facilitate the Finance Committee meetings. So it'll be a discussion with the select board and the Finance Committee and everything. But there is money in the capital stabilization. It's going to be a big long discussion.
That's right. Okay, thanks. Lily?
So, Julie, there's a lot of conversation about the tech school, and do you anticipate that hitting this year, like at special town meeting, or not this year at all? Are you guys trying to account for that? What do you think?
So no, it won't. The vote, there will be a vote, like a go to the polls and vote for that for the entire tech school constituency, like all of the towns. And they have a date for that, October 6th, maybe. Does anybody remember?
Yeah.
Go
No, I
ahead,
don't know.
Carolyn. Um,
Julie, I just wanted to know do you know offhand how many towns have to approve it? That
So
makes everybody else?
it's not town by town. That whole constituency is one voting body. So if 50% of the people who vote in the election, regardless of what town they're from, if 50% plus one person vote yes, then it passes.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
That's
Yeah,
very,
yeah. And
yeah.
then what I'm told is that if one person in your town voted yes, even though your town as a whole voted no, you're still required to participate in that. That will be in October. The lending would be sometime after that, obviously, once they get the building going. Our piece of it, the number, I don't know the number, but it's many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We would separately go out for a Prop 2.5 override for not a Prop 2.5 override, a debt exclusion for that. One would hope that it passes. If it doesn't pass, then we would be in dire straits and we would be cutting services pretty radically.
Oh my God.
Uh,
MA, do you have a question? You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted. Yeah, one person. If one person in Deerfield votes yes and the thing passes, you know, amongst all the 14 towns or whatever it is, then we're committed to support it.
Okay, go ahead, MA.
I actually had another question unrelated to that, but related to the budget. When I first raised my hand, but then you scared me to death and I had to ask that question first. I don't know what's happening internationally, but are we taking into account gas prices as we look at this next year's budget?
Yep. So each budget, as we review it, if it has postage is nowhere near as much as gas, but postage also is one that's going up a lot. So, as that comes up, that question definitely gets asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim?
I just wanted to say that the number that we're hearing is 680,000 to 700,000 a year if the tech school passes, and that's based on a 25% design. So it could go up, could go down, but still significant.
unreal.
Oof. Well, that's rough. Okay. Lily?
Another scary topic. Lucky you, Julie. I am curious about the South County Senior Center because I read the papers and I see that Sunderland and Whately, I think they're both looking at 2.5 overrides, aren't they? Or
Sunderland, at least.
Sunderland definitely is. They
Yeah.
got hit hard with the schools. I don't know about Whately. I haven't heard.
okay. I'm just reading that everybody's like, I mean, Hadley has nobody left in their town, and I saw that we are going to start charging Hatfield for the schems because we're not really doing mutual aid, and Hadley isn't doing mutual aid, and so it's grim all over the valley. So, that being said, what do you think the likelihood of the South County Senior Center passing or being approved, and if it does, what would be the impact on what you guys have been looking at?
I will tell you my opinion.
Yes, that's all I'm asking.
I am not speaking for the entire finance committee. We will review it on March 30th. The South County Senior Center, 112 Amherst Road, building is in the budget that they submitted. It's not a capital, it's rent. So it's in their operational budget, which means you don't do a capital debt exclusion or something to get there. It is $164,000 or $8,000 rent, plus close to $60,000 in utilities on that building. So that's $220-ish thousand for South County Senior Center, of which Deerfield pays 54%.
Yeah.
We can't get there without a Prop 2.5 override. So in my opinion, and I welcome feedback on this, honestly, I have not talked to very many people at all who are in favor of spending that much money on that building. It has some definite pros, but it has a bunch of cons too. And the price tag and putting that much money into a building that's not owned by any town causes a lot of people some hesitation. And it's a lot of money this year when we're up against this, the healthcare and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a lot of people telling me that they're hunky dory. I've heard two people now, out of the people that I've talked to, who are supportive of a Prop 2.5 override. And I could very well be in an echo chamber, which is why I welcome feedback from everybody, but I'm not hearing, I do not have the feeling that a Prop 2.5 override would pass if we tried to put that out there. And I personally don't think, from a financial perspective, that the building that South County Senior Center is looking at is a good financial decision. I think there are options. I know Deerfield, right? I think there are two building options within Deerfield that are viable options. I've been talking to a bunch of people, and we're coming up with like a rent value for those two options, so that we have a hard value that you can look at and compare. There may be options in other towns that are viable as well, but
And I just asked, the two options, are they the current town hall and the 1821
Church
meeting
building.
house? The meeting
Yeah,
house?
the meeting house. Yeah,
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for the info.
If people do, like, send me thoughts. Like, if you have thoughts on that, send me an email or reach out or something, because I really welcome feedback on especially on the senior center building.
I personally would agree with what you just said.
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I have yet to talk to somebody who's not the South County Senior Center Board of Oversight or the
Exactly
who is supportive of it, and I'm sure there's somebody out there.
Yeah.
Well,
I've talked to a random assortment of people, and
Andrea actually has her hand up.
Yeah, I was going to
Raise your
say, Andrea's hand
hand.
is up.
Yeah, Andrea. Thank you, Tim.
I recently joined the South County Senior Center so I could see what was going on. And that seems to me there's a lot of replication of things either in town or nearby. And I wonder why it's necessary to have those replicated things, kitchens, pantries, et cetera. And they are pushing it hard, very, very hard, that we must have this. And I don't really see why that's super necessary. There was an event this morning or today at the Polish Club, and the Polish Club was empty otherwise. Why not just rent the Polish Club for the day when you want to have an event? Why do we have to have a whole building? And it's I've toured the 112 building. It's huge. It's huge, which seems unnecessary to me.
Well, at this point, no, I think thanks for that feedback, Andrea. I think many of us may have similar opinions. I'm sort of guessing. And yeah, as Julie said, I would encourage you to send Julie an email of your thoughts. I think that would be best instead of trying to hash it out tonight. Lily?
On the SCEMS thing. I keep bringing up the fun stuff, huh?
Thanks,
Um,
Lily.
so I am curious. I saw something and I didn't understand what it was, but I believe there's a proposal to somehow change the funding or the organization. Is something going on with SCEMS? Or am I
Tim might
hallucinating?
be better able to answer that than me. He's on the board.
Yeah, Tim?
Yeah. Do you want to come back to Skims when I'm talking?
Sure.
That works for
Continue
me.
to move on.
Okay. So anything else, Julie? Then let's go to Tim.
Oh, well,
Nice transition.
fine. So, speak about Skims. There are a lot of things going on. One of which is the chief is, as you know, and you may have seen the gray and yellow brand new ambulance that's now servicing Deerfield, Whately, and Sunderland. He found a non-custom, and we purchased it. We agreed to spend. It was less expensive than the one that we ordered 2 years ago that we still haven't received. But that means that this year, because we purchased it out of retained earnings, there's not going to be any retained earnings to offset the cost of the service. So there will be increases in each community's outlay. We're looking at Hatfield charging them $350 a visit, regardless of whether we actually get to Hatfield. So in other words, if an ambulance is toned out to go to Hatfield in mutual aid, we will charge them $350 a trip. We made the same agreement in reciprocal fashion that if they come to us, they will get $350 plus whatever is collected through insurance. And that's an outgrowth of the fact that Hatfield doesn't have night and weekend coverage, and that their community voted against funding additional paramedics for the fire department. This would take effect in July 1st. And then there's irregular steps and cost of living increase. So the normal inflationary trend of, just more expensive. So anything I missed, Blake? Blake's the fiduciary for SCEMS.
You're
No, I
muted,
think you
Blake.
got it. I think you got it covered. We're still working on his budget, but that should be ready by the end of the month too. And give us a better picture of what's happening with this. And again, I've seen the electric Mustang out running. I don't know where they're off to, but they seem to be going out on calls and coming back in. So that's being used now as well. And again, with the ambulance setup, it was kind of important that we ended up getting this one because both the primary ambulances are way over 100,000 miles and are costing a lot of money in maintenance. So to be able to, and they're actually, Tim, I think you're the one that brought this up, was that set up a plan so that they're going to be replaced by a certain time period. So we're not caught trying to get two of them at the same time. Other than that, I think we've covered as far as we can for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and so anybody else have any questions about SCEMS?
No, I just have a comment. I think Josh is doing a really good job, and he came before the CIPC last year, and he's got a plan. He's certainly not winging it. But I did. So what's happening with the ambulance? I'm trying to remember. I thought we did two. So we just got this other one. So what about the one that we ordered? We have no idea when that's coming in.
So the one that's on order is potentially going to come later in the year. So we'll have two.
Okay.
The plan is to do this every 3 years, so that at the end of so you buy one, 3 years later you buy another one.
Mm-hmm.
3 years later you buy another one, and the one that you bought first becomes the backup ambulance, and then you always have new equipment as
Right.
the first frontline responding. We're also it's unlikely to come to fruition, but we're talking to Conway about possibly coming into SCEMS. I don't see that happening anytime immediately. But they just authorized like 500,000 to buy a new ambulance. And they have 2 part-time ambulance people, or volunteers, I should say. So, yeah, that's the good news is that the interceptor vehicle that Blake mentioned, the electric vehicle, allows us to provide a paramedic to neighboring towns that don't have paramedic coverage on their ambulances. And so then we bill for that too. So all the things that we're billing for that are not strictly, in theory, they're supposed to be mutual aid and it sort of offsets. But in reality, our experience has been that we provide more than most communities provide back. So the charges that we're receiving for them are not an insignificant revenue stream. It's like 120,000 a year. So over a 3-year period, this would basically buy a new ambulance. And the usage of the ambulance staff is relatively small. So we're not finding situations very often where our ambulances are not available to service our own residents. In mutual aid, of course, that's always going to happen. If you have one ambulance and you do a call, mutual aid, then your neighbor comes and like Greenfield comes down, or we'll go to Greenfield. But when we have 2 ambulances on, it's a much less frequent thing. So anyway.
Okay.
Moving on then, 1888 building, which Alex will probably, I don't know, you going to talk about it? Okay. So what's happening there, we've awarded a contract for solar to PV Squared. They're going to put panels on the south-facing sloped roof. And the price offset, I think, is, do you remember, Julie, is it $7,000? Or did we?
Less than the next higher one.
Yeah. So
I don't remember exactly. It's 7 to 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So in any case, it's they were all 3 bids came in. They were all roughly the same kilowatt hour production capability. Some of them had better warranties. Some of them had better efficiency of solar panels. But we followed the rule. We awarded the contract to the lowest bidder, responsible and qualified bidder. They're going to work as a subcontractor with the general contractor, so we don't have to deal with any of, the billing, et cetera. And we're hoping that we will have the USDA loan pay for that. And the rest of the construction is moving apace. The interior of the old building is getting first coat of finished paint in many areas. They just got approval for some retrofit on the fire extinguishing system. They have to put in some seismic bracing that wasn't designed to the satisfaction of the engineers. So that's hopefully going to take place in the next week. Then they can start putting in the grids for drop ceilings. And we've also got the audio video systems worked out. The select board has awarded a contract. They're coordinating with the electricians that are subcontractors for the project to pull all the wiring And so that's moving along. The exterior of the new addition is the zip system with insulation is being installed. It's turning from tan to green. Windows have actually been installed in the addition. I just went over and took some pictures today. So all in all, I think that project's going well. And they're pouring the cement over the vault. So where all the records will be stored that need to be in the building, and then digitizing and off-siting the ones that don't need to be there.
Then when do you anticipate it's going to open?
It's supposed to be open. It's supposed to be, I believe, October.
Oh, great.
But they seem to feel that they're on schedule, and Mountford has been very proactive in keeping the pressure on subcontractors and the architects and the engineers to, if they get behind in one area, they jump to another area. So overall, I think they've been a good choice.
Lily?
All right, I'm going to ask the question everybody's dying to know. Is this
Uh-oh.
elevator going to work?
Oh, well, the 1888 elevator is in much better shape than the library elevator. And there is actually a non-monetary pool about which elevator is going to be in first.
That is sad.
So,
Oh boy.
and finally on the Tilton Library, I'm in the process of getting, Julie's been working with me on this to get bids for solar on the Tilton, because we're still, municipal programs and commercial programs are still eligible for federal tax credits if the work is signed and some money spent before FY27 begins, I believe. So we have one set of bids. We're looking for two more. And I met with a contractor today from PV Squared. So we hope to have bid from them next week. And I'm still reaching out to Valley, which is the third company we used for the 1888 building. So
John, you've got a question for Tim?
I just wanted to ask if you could tell again what is the source of that funding?
So yeah, for the Tilton, one of the bids is about $157,000. Well, not bid, but it's a proposed price, and it would generate like 40,000 kilowatt hours a year. I'm not sure how to translate that into money, but it's like $10,000 or $11,000. So the library is trying to get LEED certified, which will give us $100,000 payment when we do get that certification. If their 30% tax credit is awarded, that's another $45,000. So there would be left a gap of about $10,000 to $15,000, which payoff could be in a year. So then there would be about a $10,000 to $15,000 cost to the town to put the solar on. But over the 25-year life of the solar, let's assume it's $10,000. That's a large payback and reduction in the amount. We know the building is going to use a lot of electricity because of all the requirements that are put in about air handling and moving. Mark Brennan could talk about that probably better than I can about electricity charges and so on. But we're also possibly looking at battery storage because of demand charges. Electricity is getting a lot more complicated in terms of, hot peak demand versus load versus how quickly you ramp up. So we're going to look at building management systems and ask the solar installers about these questions before we make any decision on it.
I was just at the very beginning of your talking about the panels at Tilton, which thank you very much, by the way. You just mentioned a source of funding, I didn't hear it quite.
So funding is LEED certification, which is $100,000, LEED, and I'm not exactly sure what the acronym means, but
Yeah.
something about energy efficiency in there.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have enough points to qualify as is, but the solar panels would definitely put us over the qualification level. And the other large portion would be a 30% federal tax credit, but we have to start the project in FY26. So we'll bring this to, if we move forward with this, we'll bring it to the annual town meeting to get approval. So that's the plan.
Thank you.
MA? You're muted.
Muted.
Got it. Thank you for reminding me. Just don't even hesitate. The Energy Committee had a presentation by a company called Power Options, and I know Lily sat in on that. And they provide energy. Well, first of all, they're a nonprofit. They originally were a government, a Massachusetts agency, or not agency, but whatever.
Enterprise.
Yeah, whatever. And they are now a nonprofit, and they service municipalities, helping them do alternative energy stuff. And basically what they are offering us, and the Energy Committee's looking into this, and this would be an alternative if things fail. But the idea is what they offer, and if their numbers come in looking interesting, it could be another option for us, and that is they'll offer a power purchase agreement, PPA. They will do everything. They do all the work. And the question is, obviously, if you own it, you have to do all the work and all the maintenance on all of everything. But if you don't own it and they own it, you get a lot less money, but maybe it's a better option in the long run. And this is something that is to be weighed. But, and I think it's something in relation to, this is another option, because it's totally, they sell you back the power for theoretically, if all goes well, a lesser rate than your Eversource bill.
So
Right.
MA, could you send that information to Tim?
I certainly can. I can just, if you look up Power Option, I can send you the
Yeah.
website.
I'm aware of the program, and
That's what I thought.
Okay.
and we've made the decision that if we can get LEED certification and
Yeah,
a 30%
I get
federal
that.
tax credit, that's the smartest thing to do,
Mhm.
because then you own all the power, you get
Right.
all the benefits,
Right.
and solar panels don't break down every week. It's
No.
not like a Ford truck.
Yeah.
No, and so this is what it's an option. This is the best option I've ever heard of a PPA, because they give you a 25-year fixed rate.
Mhm.
And most PPAs give you a 20-minute fixed rate.
Right.
That I'm exaggerating.
Well, good. I mean, hey, it's good to have options. So that, thanks.
Yeah, it's
Thanks for
another
sharing that.
option.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Mark has a question for you.
Not a question, it's more of a comment. What we're trying to do is get as much of the electricity charges for the library off the levy as possible. So we're actually better off making a capital purchase. So it's better for us to own it and have that come off as a capital expense than it is to try and reduce a small, tiny amount in the grand scheme of things, and still have all of that on the levy.
Mark,
So
yeah, as a question for the Energy Committee, because I have no idea how to deal with all these numbers, and we're just exploring it for the buildings just to get a comparison. But do you think that's true for all of our buildings? Because
no,
oh,
I'm speaking specifically for the library.
okay,
So
because
the
of the
panels on
lead.
the library aren't going to absorb the entire cost of
No, I
electricity.
know.
So
Right.
it's not like a either or. It's probably like a combined thing that we would want to look into.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll all be
some buildings
talking
it
about
might not
that.
make sense to spend our
Right.
own money on, because if you spend a lot of money and there's no immediate return, it's like an 8 or 10 year payback period.
Yeah,
So
that's good. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm just
and
curious about this whole process.
No, thanks, Emma. I think it's good to have the option so you can always tap into that for a different building then.
Yeah, and we probably will. So
Yeah.
it's good that we've got that in our back pocket. Yeah.
I know Julie was part of that
Yeah.
conversation. So was Lily. So
Yeah.
hopefully there's enough people who heard it.
All right.
And
Okay.
lastly, I'll just do a quick
Oh.
30-second thing that this is Rural and Declining Enrollment Schools Week of Action. We're on the 4th day of 5 at the Frontier School today. 500 plus students assembled in the gymnasium to spell out SOS and have a video that's going to be part of a video package that ruralschoolsma.org, which is essentially Jessica Corwin, Carolyn Ness, Martha Thurber from Mohawk, myself, and Cheryl Stanton, I think, are the most active people. And we're basically asking the Healy administration and the legislature to fully fund the rural school aid at $60 million. Got a great video out of a Berkshire County that a lot more things have happened than I thought would. So anyway, that's just to try and get us more rural school aid.
Well, thank you for doing that, Tim and Carolyn. We need it. We all know that. All right. Wow, Tim, that's a lot of information. Anything else? Any other questions for Tim about that? Okay, if not, I'll move on to Mark.
Sure.
And you're reporting on ZBA?
Yeah, I can start with that. I can do capital as well if you'd like. So for ZBA, we don't really have any like major contentious issues or anything. But one thing I did want to bring up that Alex, sorry for putting you on the spot. You probably know more about this than I do, but I believe for our next ZBA meeting that's coming up, we've got that presentation to discuss what's going on with that what was it, college project?
Yep.
So yeah, if you wouldn't
Do you
mind.
want me to? Yeah, sure. Nope,
Sure.
that was first on my list too to report out on. So
Oh,
that
cool.
Conway Student Housing Project that's been underway since kind of I'd say mid-January. They hosted a session in January. There's a survey that's live right now. If you haven't seen it, on housing, it's on Facebook, it's on the town website. If you need a link, feel free to shoot me an email. I also have hard copies if anyone has a preference for filling it out that way. And then kind of the last step of the Conway project, aside from a final report that they'll email to us, is this kind of last community engagement piece that'll be at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on March 16th at 6:30. It's a hybrid meeting. And the students are going to come and present on different types of housing. And then we're also going to have a really, I think, interesting conversation on potential bylaw changes that they've been looking at and have maps and data now that we can actually look at, kind of evaluate some of the proposed changes and how it would impact some residents. So thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. And hate to be pedantic here, but just in case anyone's watching the recording, it's I believe on the 19th. So, Thursday the 19th.
Oh, thanks. Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Thursday the 19th. Thank you.
No problem. And then I can, unless anyone has any questions, I can switch gears and talk about capital if you'd like, Denise.
Sure, that's pretty exciting, Mark.
Yeah, so with with capital, we have a few requests short of what our average is for the year. We've got about 11 right now. Actually, it's more than a few. It's about half. We usually have somewhere in the 20s, which is great because we don't have any money. So we have, from a finance committee perspective, nothing set aside for capital, as Julie had said. And then for what we've got coming in, it's kind of not necessarily CIPC's job to find a funding sources out of the gate. That's something that capital presents to a joint meeting with the select board and finance committee. But we still try and figure out where these things are coming when we're assessing requests. So most of them are coming, the things that do have some sort of funding source. It's not free cash. Are coming from CPA, which we usually do each year. But unfortunately, nothing else really out of the 11 has a clear funding source other than free cash or capital stabilization. So we've got a bunch of things that all total we could pay potentially out of stabilization, but we wouldn't have any money in stabilization afterwards. I think all told, we're probably looking at around 550 to 650,000, and I don't remember what exactly is left in there, but I want to say that we're under $1 million, 700, 800,000, I think. So I'll have to go and check. But we've had to, over the last couple of years, push off a DPW Freightliner truck, and I think this year might be the year where we finally actually get that thing replaced. Matt Morse was able to find one for $100,000 less than what a new one would be. We're going to try and actually get that appropriated for FY26 if we can. So CIPC actually did vote to recommend that. Mainly because we need it, but also it might help him, kind of get this truck that is being held for him, in the eyes of the people that are selling it, a slightly more concrete deal. Town meeting has to approve it, of course, but we're trying to do everything we can to help Matt secure this truck that's $100,000 cheaper. We also have the rooftop solar. So we did talk about some potential sources for that. There's the LEED certification money. There was one other that I forgot that Tim was talking about, but anything that is remaining for the remaining balance for that would be coming out of capital stabilization most likely. And then we've got a few other things that are kind of coming together on the plan. We also have some town building maintenance that we're going to be, well, actually, it's not maintenance, more like town building capital stuff. That's going to end up on both the 5-year and the 15-year plan that we've got. We just got that from Julie Denise. And then we're also trying to work with Matt Morse to see if we can get some of the things projected through FY 2030 and then, some of the more of the long-term items. So by the time we get to town meeting, we should have more elements on the 5 and 15-year plan for those things. And then, like I said, about 11 requests will either be recommended or not recommended. We, as a committee, I think, went through about 50% of these, voted on a few. We have 2 more meetings coming up. I believe one is on let me see here for anyone that wants to attend these. And I'm doing a plug here because we never really get anyone outside of the committee to come. So the 26th and the 2nd, March 26th and April 2nd. If any of you don't have anything to do, it's always a hoot coming to Capitol. So I would recommend it.
You make it sound so much fun. Hey, I just wanted to mention on the, what is it, the Freightliner, the one that we're going to, if we can save $100,000. Matt was talking about how expensive it is, the expensive repairs that we have on our current one. It's like $40,000 for this, $15,000 for that. I mean, it's really absurd, and it's 20 years old. So, that's why it's not. We wish we could get it. We really need to get that. So,
Yeah, that truck takes a pounding. I mean, any truck that we use, whether it's that one or if it's a new one, there's always going to be some maintenance associated with it. But this one, we're paying for the sins of not replacing it every year in actual multiple ways. I think when I first started on this committee with Carolyn, the cost of replacing this truck was what we're trying to get it for right now with that $100,000 discount.
yeah.
I'll be happy either way. But there's just been a cost escalation every year. So every year we defer it, we pay for it that way as well.
Yep.
Okay. So how about ZBA? Did you talk ZBA?
Yep. ZBA was an easy
All
one
right.
this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. Yeah. So thank you. Let's see, who should we go to next? How about John, Stacy? Talk about library land.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Speaking of elephants on the table, the elevator has been delayed by, I'm told, the severe winter, and hopefully we won't have any fights break out, but tariffs. That's what I'm told. And now the opening is apparently, hopefully targeted for July. With a major event also in October. And my being here tonight has already paid for itself when I find out that maybe the 1888 building will open in October. So we should be talking to each other to make sure that we don't have those on the same day. And as you all probably know, I'm new to the team of the trustees. Will be officially voted in the next town meeting. So I'm just a sponge soaking up all the information that I can get. And like I said the last time, I can't get over how much is going on in this community and the value of finding all of you and listening to what's going on. Beyond that, I think they did have a soft opening. The first floor is open. There's a lot going on. We're working on a video too. And apparently 400 people came to the partial opening. So looking for a really, really good summer and the elevator getting in and actually
That's
working. Yes.
crazy. Hey, John, how's fundraising going?
The fundraising is at 1.53 million, and we know that gets turned over to the town in October. The Tilton Fund and the trustees met at one right after the other on the 9th. I think what's going to happen is the capital campaign is going to come to an end officially because it has to at some point, but fundraising will continue. There will just not be an official capital campaign.
Okay.
So fundraising is continuing. Does that help?
Yep. Okay. Anybody have any questions for John? Anything else?
Oh, but may I jump back in here?
Yeah, of course.
Candace presented before the Finance Committee Monday. It was a very interesting thing. I think Matt was being too self-deprecating. It was very interesting to see them work. Why did I go there? I'm not sure. I'm having a senior moment here.
We all do that, John. Trust me.
So that was a very good meeting. I think we came away from that looking forward to the coming year. And when it occurs to me, I might get back in here.
Okay, great.
Any questions?
Tip, do you have a question?
I did sit in on the Finance Committee meeting about the library, and basically, Mark can also chime in on this. We're looking at juggling some of the things like the electricity bill and grounds maintenance, put them into not the regular budget, because the MBLC has this interesting 3-year rolling average that says if you have to spend 2.5 more than percent than the average of the last 3 years. So we're trying to keep that number down while by shifting these charges until we actually get the library open. And so in the future, instead of being at 300,000 in 2 years, we'll be still down around the 230, 235 range. So very smart math by the people who thought about it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Tim, because it keeps me out of trouble. I'm too new here to know where the mines are in the graph, so I'm happy that you brought that up. I think the other thing that was an interesting learning was that the state imposes a lot of issues on public libraries, and so there's a significant consequence to not abiding by those issues. On the other side of that coin, it means that there's a significant service available to our residents. The number one that comes to my mind is that we have access to, in a way, we have access to all the other libraries in the state, 347 libraries, which is just priceless. So anyway.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Something to
Yeah, so glad you brought that up. It might look like we're picking on the library, totally not. There were some town building maintenance and energy costs that were on the library's budget that we ended up pulling out. The MBLC has Tim put it very politely, they're gangsters. You need to have basically a 2.5% increase in your budget every year, looking at a 3-year moving average. If you don't do that, they kick you out of their network, the one that John was talking about, and a bunch of other terrible things happen, when you're building new libraries, especially, with the grant money and stuff. So we had a pretty large increase due to the electricity costs in the library. So what we did was we pulled the energy costs out, kind of busted it down to the minimum 2.5% increase, which I believe is going to leave Candace in a position where she's going to have to find $1,000. So it may look harsh, but we're actually controlling that cost as much as possible. In my opinion, at some point we could get to a spot where we might have to look at maybe sitting a year out with the MBLC. That's not going to go over very well with a lot of people, but if the budget continues to escalate, I could see that being a risk. It's not anything that I think like I would sound the alarm over, but we should be paying attention to that over the next few years.
Tim?
I wanted to ask if Alex would be talking about, we're working on closing out the project documents so that we can get our 5th and 6th payments in FY26. I'm not sure if you're part of that process or not, Alex, but so the idea would be that we would then lock in and we'd know our borrowing, and we wouldn't be borrowing for the money that the MBLC hasn't given us yet. So hopefully that will be wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. There's a deadline pending.
Okay, great. Thanks. Whew, boy, this is a busy night. So Ben, how about the Historic Commission? And you're still muted. Ben, you're still muted.
How's that?
That's much better.
Okay. Annalee normally comes to these meetings and she has been sharing with us, but I don't know if you guys know, she had a face plant in Boston a little while ago and had a concussion. The main thing that we've done recently is in order to support our CPC request for money to restore gravestones in the Mill River Cemetery is we had to in order to fill CPC guidelines, we had to declare that the cemetery was historic. In my opinion, any cemetery over 100 years old is historic, but we needed an attestation. And Peter James suggested, why not just call every burial ground in Deerfield historic? And it didn't seem wrong to do that. So we had a unanimous vote in favor of that. And when I get the minutes from Anna Lee, I will send them to the select board and Cassie and confirm that we believe that's the case, because, you know, graves need work. We can't call it repair. CPC doesn't let us do that. It has to be restoration. But that's the only thing of consequence we've done. We're working on other projects that we've been working on for years that have been frustrating, but I think there's a lot of good energy and good new people on the committee.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ben? No? Lily?
So I'm curious, what other projects? Can you give us a sense of what kind of stuff you all are up
Well,
to?
you may remember that John and Mike Muhlenberg were really interested in getting a North Main Street Historic District established, and they worked on that for many years and submitted what we thought was a lot of good information, some of which was prepared by volunteers who we were trying to compensate. And although other towns in the Commonwealth are allowed to compensate those volunteers for this work, our committee was told that we could not do so. So we stopped using the volunteers and things sort of ground to a halt. And we submitted what we thought were pretty complete applications. And the state wrote back that the applications were insufficient, didn't explain why they were. So that was frustrating. Jason Clark is now working on this pretty hard, and he's in communication with Northampton and Greenfield. And he's got a couple of members of the committee are going to help. We've got all the records on file. I think it's just a question of sticking the right information in the right boxes of the right forms. The forms have been updated, and I'd love to do this. It's not going to be any restriction on the homeowners or anything in the North Main Street Historic District, but it's a step in the process of cataloging and confirming, you know, our heritage.
So, yeah, Lily.
I want to follow up on that. What is the impact on senior housing at St. James, especially if, as looks likely, those buildings need to be removed, either torn down or having somebody taking it away?
Okay, beats me. I know that Jason is not in favor of having St. James torn down. I'm not in favor of having it torn down either, but I'm not in favor of having it fall down by itself. And it's a question of, you know, funding and what do we do with the poor building. And it's just, there are, as it's been pointed out already, there's a lot of things going on in town, and you can do anything, you can't do everything. So we're not asking for any more money than that. The only money we intend to spend this year that I can anticipate is we want to get an interpretive sign established in the Sugarloaf Cemetery, which is another project we've had going. No, it's a really interesting process dealing with Massachusetts Historical Commission, because you have to know who to ask and when to ask and if they've changed the forms.
So Ben, I have a question. So what is the advantage of having that designation?
You know, I'd have to go back and look that up, but John Nove, who I would defer to in all matters about the Historical Commission, felt that it was a really good idea to do it, and it could open the way towards really helping just awareness of the town and stuff that matters without costing us any money, and possibly down the line, it's a step in the process towards getting some money from the feds or the state if we do everything. But right now we have to find out how to cross the T's and dot the I's.
Right. No, my 2 cents is, as long as it's not detrimental to projects that are in process.
I would vote against that if it was. And I know that there are people on my committee who do not want to have anything done there. But, you know, it's our town. It's not one person's town. It's not some people's town. It's our town.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions for Ben? If not, I'll move on to Carolyn. Okay. Go ahead.
The MVP submittal date is March 20th. And I reported last month that the town was going to work with the Franklin Conservation District and apply where we had been recommended to apply together for the MVP grant round this year. However, when we did more digging of the information, the two culverts that the town is going to submit for engineering design work now qualify as small bridges. So this is the first year that everybody is, all your MVP, all your EEA, basically all your EEA loans and grants are being submitted under one-stop submittal. So I'm sure that when the town submits for the culverts, it will either go to the small bridge program or to DER, which is Department of Ecological Restoration, because they have the culvert program. I do not think, because they're such big, they're over 10 feet, they're so big, they will not qualify for the MVP part of the grant cycle. So Franklin Conservation District, and we were worried about having the town have to do any work or supervision over the Franklin Conservation District. So that's extra staff work. So the Franklin Conservation District had our board meeting today. We voted to submit for the MVP grant for the town of Deerfield. And what it is planting a buffer on a municipal campus and working, this is design, training of the DPW, and oversight of this planting of the buffer and actually maintenance of the buffer for 3 years. Plus working with the elementary school kids in, I believe it's 5th grade. They had some interest. So doing this project, plus having Nick Miller from Field Geology do monitoring for 3 years, which is right now give us more data on the capacity of the Bloody Brook, what we're sucking up in wetlands, in different kinds of things that access to floodplain and all that kind of stuff. So you have a calculation of your sponge effect. He's going to monitor the plantings because the conservation district will continue with its grant working with the residential residents along North Main Street. And then we also have our farm programs with like Bloody Brook Farm and hopefully more farms in the uplands for a regular cycle of programs. So this is for the municipal part, and it's pretty exciting because I think we'll have a significant visual effect along the town campus. It's because it will be replacing invasives with native plantings, and I think it'll look really nice. Plus, hopefully sponges, suck up additional water for the floods. The good thing is I also reported no activity for the PL 566 again, just for the newer people on board here. We had last January, we recommended as a committee that the select board send a letter to the state conservationists for Natural Resource and Conservation Service, NRCS, to see if we could participate in the PL 566 program, which is your watershed mitigation program. And there was normally in years past, it's been funded between 800 and 900 million dollars nationally. Last year, it was cut, last January, it was cut to 42 million. So the likelihood of Deerfield, because we don't have that many people affected, would mean that we probably wouldn't get any funding. But I just found out that it has been refunded at least 150 million. So we voted at our MVP meeting the other night to reach out to our senators and Jim McGovern to get a letter of support so that we can actually participate in the funding program and start that process. And it looks likely that, from my understanding of National Association of Conservation District Board meeting, that the money that Biden had set aside for the infrastructure money that we were supposed to get, that was held back, is now being, because of court cases, is being released. And I hope it will be released under this new farm bill that has worked out of committee on February 24th. Unfortunately, we went to war on the 28th. So who knows how fast the farm bill is going to make its way through Congress, but potentially we could get back up to the $800 or $900 billion, $1 million level. So, and there is some talk that it will be over $1 billion. So we want to be ready. So hopefully we'll get on the selectmen's agenda in the next 2 or 3 weeks and get that letter sent out so that we can participate, because we are in phase 1 right now that has been funded by MVP. We have our hydrology study done. We have calculations of flood risk when we've had done public outreach. So even though we haven't used any funding, we will then hopefully finish off phase 1, which is you verify that there is a problem, you verify that there is a solution, you verify that people are interested. Then you move on to phase 2, which is all your engineering, and that's still 100%, and permitting. That's still 100% paid for. So hopefully we'll end up doing this. And what's great still is that state, railroad, private business like Pelican, and farmers and the town can all participate under this program. There's no restrictions. Everybody is eligible.
Okay.
And and I also had a meeting earlier today to talk with Vermont and Massachusetts conservation districts, because we are still going to still apply for a PL 566 in this next year if there is more funding, because we obviously haven't started the phase 1 on that one. So if we get it accepted and in it, then potentially we'll be participating in the Deerfield River watershed with 1 as well, which will help the communities above Deerfield, and that will really impact us at the bottom in Old Deerfield. So it's pretty exciting news. Finally.
Right. And that's not MVP. That's other.
No, that's the PL 560.
Okay. Okay.
I was just saying that
Okay.
it looks like it will be funded up to maybe even over $1 billion by this.
Well, you know what? I will applaud when that happens, but right now I'm a little skeptical.
I know, me too.
So, anybody questions?
People are, it's out there. So,
well, we need to get it. So that's,
I know.
Lots of things are out there. It depends how good you are at fishing.
I know.
Yeah. Woof. Gosh, that's a lot of information. Thank you. Let's see, who have we not? MA. And just to let everyone know, we are at 7:41 and there is a sharp 8 o'clock cutoff.
Oh, I forgot to say there's no town match for any of this, which is relief for the MVP.
Great.
Because of the 2023 flooding. I forgot to say that.
Good. That's good news. MA, go ahead. What's happening in energy?
We met a couple hours ago, and Alex is doing double duty, so thank you, Alex. She had to sit through our meeting too. But she had lots of good things to offer. Basically, we talked about the power options that came and gave a presentation to us last meeting, looking at how it works, how we want to figure it out. We need to submit electric bills to them for the buildings that we're interested in doing. So DPW and the library. We have all that information just because we're going to collect it and get estimates from them just to see where it comes in. So we have the wastewater treatment plant in South Deerfield. We have the DPW. We put an asterisk by the town hall because the old town hall is not, there's only 1 meter for the police and the town hall building. So they're all one, and who knows what's going to happen with the town hall. So that's sort of got an asterisk by it as not a high priority, but obviously the police station is, it's kind of confusing. And so we just discussed had a discussion about, where we were going with that and how it balanced with the climate leader and, other possibilities. So we're looking into it, just trying to collect information right now. I reported to them that the signatures were in for the climate leader, the two warrant articles, and certified. We talked about a lot of other stuff, but that was pretty much it.
Okay.
I'll keep it short.
No, thank you. That's good. Any questions for MA?
Oh, there was one other thing. We're all set for all the reporting is in, everything is in for the Green Communities grant that we received and have expended and have replaced the building management system at the elementary school. And we're looks like we're pretty close to being ready for doing the same thing at Frontier. And we talked a lot about trying to bring in the other towns, but that hasn't been successful yet. And so maybe at the next round of Green Communities, we'll talk about all towns doing something for Frontier.
No, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so, wow, we've got a couple more. Boy, how about Andrea? Briefly on open space.
Oh, I can be really brief. We haven't met.
Okay. All
and
right.
so we are meeting next week, so I have nothing to add.
Wow, you get a gold star for that report.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
there's a question.
Is there a question?
Lily.
Yes, Lily?
Sorry. So is all the work done for the Conservation Trust Fund? Have you guys met with the Concom and stuff like that? All that stuff's lined up for the CPC request?
Yes. It's my understanding that, yes, there have been a number of meetings. We outlined expectations and rules for the way the fund would be organized, I believe, and I think we're all set. Mark, did you have a question too?
Yeah, just found out you don't actually need capital to establish that fund, so we got clarity on that for anyone that was.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yep.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that was a question at our CIPC meeting. Okay. Well, that's good news. All right. Alex, what are you up to, Alex?
Okay. Well, a lot of the housing stuff, the survey's due March 16th. The zoning board meeting is March 19th. So just as an FYI.
Right.
Let's see. I won't steal Lily's thunder on senior housing. Just if anybody missed it, Mass DOT did a public information session last night virtually about a rotary project on Greenfield Road, 5 and 10, and North Main Street / Mill Village. So that it said in the information that project forward that they gave us that they were going to bid it out in this 2026 and expected construction in 2027. But I think in the meeting they mentioned FY 2030. So that was kind of odd. And the North Main Street Bridge should be done either before that or in the next couple of years, I think is what, right, Tim, or do you want to go ahead?
I think what they said was that by the end of this year or early next year on the bridge.
I would not
Oh
be
my
surprised if they
God.
bid them out in tandem also,
Wow.
but
Alex,
we'll see.
was there any really great takeaway from that? Because I started watching and I just couldn't.
They'll actually be at Concom at the end of March. I think that's March 26th. They anticipate submitting a notice of intent. And we did a site walk in the morning with Tim, our conservation agent, and Pete Law, and essentially that they're gonna keep those trees that were cut and put back in. Likely, unfortunately, that driveway that was there was outside of the project scope. But we talked a lot about preserving the wetlands and maybe talked about a pollinator garden actually kind of on the northern extent where the old highway used to kind of come in, or North
Mhm.
Main used to come in. So I mean, yeah, well, I don't know. Lily and Tim, I think you guys were there if you wanted to add anything.
Covered
Okay.
it.
Okay. Do you have a question for me? Or are you good?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So Stillwater is also gonna get bid out this spring. So that's pretty exciting to see movement on that. There'll be votes on the easements and takings at the next select board meeting next week. Elm Street, we also anticipate bidding out this spring, so it will be coming likely this summer. We also are adding in an alternative, so may or may not be included depending on how the bid pricing comes back to pave the parking lot by the railroad, and kind of where Hamshaw Lumber
Ooh.
is. So the town actually owns that piece right at the corner, and so we'll see what it comes back, and of course adding some greenery and park
Nice.
striping and some additional accessible parking, which would be kind of nice. And then we still haven't really heard anything on the Park Street project. So nothing really to report on that. We are finalizing and nearing the end of getting back our pavement and sidewalk asset management plan. So that's pretty exciting. That helps the town prioritize which roads and streets and sidewalks we need to start working on first in our most critical condition. And then the town was awarded a LEAP grant from the state to update some of the 2021 culvert assessments that FERDCOG conducted. Obviously, that was pre-flooding. And so it's nice that we'll have another asset management plan to help prioritize that work. I think those are the highlights. A lot more, but
Well, that's a lot. Thanks. Carolyn, question?
I don't want to depress everybody, but I went to a substantial damage webinar on how to do your floodplain inventory. And our hazardous mitigation plan expired September of 25. And so I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that we need to renew that. And I think that we can put in the mandatory substantial damage inventory into the hazardous mitigation plan at the same time when we go to review it and renew it without having to have a all separate thing. Because what that is you have to inventory your buildings that are all in the floodplain, which is pretty much South Deerfield Village, and then some stuff up in Old Deerfield, in case there is a huge loss. You can't, if you don't have that ready, that paperwork ready, then you can't participate in a FEMA claim. So,
So who's responsible for doing that, Carolyn?
well, I have been in the past.
Okay, so would you be instrumental in working with someone?
Yes,
Who else?
yeah.
Okay.
The town had, you have to renew it every 5 years. The first couple I did myself, then it was got to be too complicated, so
Right.
we hired the FERCog. There is no grant money for that.
Right.
So I'm hoping that Alex, we could just have some meetings and we just file some basic renewal.
Okay.
I don't think there's too many people at FEMA that are gonna, hopefully they'll just stamp it and pass it on. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. So
Yeah.
I think we could try
Okay.
and not have to allocate any money towards it.
Right. Well, that would be great. Okay. Thanks, Alex. Anything else, Alex? You good? Okay. Lily.
All right, senior housing. We published the RFP and it is out there. The oh damn, I didn't write the date. The site visit for developers is in April. Do you remember the date, Alex?
April 15th.
Thank you. Oh yeah, tax day. Wow, how could I forget it? And in the meantime, I have renewed trying to get the state to do something in conjunction with their farmland initiatives, and wrote to Ed Augustus only to find out that he's no longer the secretary. But so now I have written to the interim secretary, and Senator Comerford has responded, as did Christine Medor, to that letter, and it seems like Comerford's office is actually starting to make the connections happen. So we want to keep pressing on that, because whatever happens with St. James, either if we can get the state to help us with that, and then therefore then be more attractive to developers, or even another site entirely, that would be awesome. So, I don't know. I know Julie was talking about the town hall for the senior center, but it would also be a great site for senior or workforce housing. And I know we're the ad hoc senior housing committee, but there is no housing committee, so we talk about everything. All right. So our next steps are to continue pressing the state to meet for the walkthrough, and working on the RFP responses. Any questions about senior housing? Although I am concerned about this move to make it a historic district, because considering who is taking charge on that, Jason Clark has already informed a member of the committee that he intends to sue the town without even knowing what's there. So I am clearly concerned about that, and I'm just always open about how I feel about things, just so y'all know. Any questions about senior housing?
No.
Okay, then Community Preservation Committee. Well, the Community Preservation Committee has basically approved all applications. We finished walking through them, and the next steps are the final write-up of the warrant articles. So we've got a bunch of things to bring to town meeting vote, and we have the money for all of them, so there's not going to be a question of town meeting having to decide for one thing at the expense of another. But we are getting close to that, and we just got the information on what the match is going to be, and because we're a 3% town, we're going to do better than a lot of other communities. I don't know what the exact number is. I apologize. And that's it.
That's great. Any questions for Lily? Okay, I'm going to try and read the two reports here in the next 4 minutes. So this is from Carrie Etchell. She unfortunately couldn't make it. She's on the DES school committee. She said the proposed budget is an increase of $209,580, or 3.81%. It's a reduction from a level services budget, which would have been 10.46%. I don't know, and I don't understand all of that, but the reduction, blah, 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 mostly accomplished by reducing staff, including changing one grade from 3 sections to 2, reducing reading interventionist positions from 3 to 2, and eliminating part-time PE teacher, which is not a big deal because the school enrollment has, well, it is a big deal, but school enrollment has declined in the past several years. So they were able to apply for rural aid funding from the state to help bring the increase down. It's not guaranteed, but they are hopeful. And they're going to vote the budget in the next 2 weeks. So that is her report. And then, oh my God, this could take all night for, I don't know how Pete Law does this. Conservation Commission is always so busy. He had a conflict. He's taken a course with, I don't know, MACC. So let's see. They approved with conditions the NOI submitted by Frontier School District for repaving the parking lot. Oh, I'd like to, I would have liked to hear more about that because we want that pervious pavement. So I don't know who to, I guess we'll talk to him after. Yeah, okay. Approve the final plans for the elementary school playground, which is great. Completed a request for certificate of completion at 281 Greenfield Road relative to the sale of Magic Wings. Received and reviewed required report from Sunny Days Project relative to their wetland replacement area. Let's see. They review the annual Whipple Pond Management Report from Eaglebrook. That sounds exciting. And discussions from the Concom support for the establishment of the Deerfield Conservation Fund, which we know about that through open space. Working with Matt at DPW and Chief Emergency Management, Emergency Management Director on potential 2026 projects to be included in the town's bundled NOI. What else? The Commissioner Darren Damaris resigned in February, so they're currently seeking applicants to replace him. And they did a number of different site visits. So they are busy. And I said, oh my God, you're so busy. And he said, oh, that was slow. So as you can see, they are incredibly busy. My report as far as the planning board, it has been a very, very quiet winter, which is sort of nice because Amy Hahn was out for a while, and poor Alex had to pick up the slack on that. So I'm sure Alex was happy that it wasn't really crazy. So yeah, we just had, what did we have? Oh gosh, an A&R, and that's pretty much it. And then of course we're working with Alex and the housing from the
Conway students.
Thank you. The Conway students. I know it's a little late. I'm getting tired. The Conway students. So that'll be interesting to hear that report next week. But aside from that, that's pretty much all that's going on in every other committee. Everyone's reported. MA, you're muted. You're going to get demerits for that every time I have to say that. You're still muted.
Can I
Okay.
pay ahead of time for those demerits?
Yeah, you can.
Thanks. I'll buy you some beers.
Okay.
ADU zoning what's happening with that?
Well, that's what we're talking about. I mean, the Conway School is sort of
The
working
Conway
with us
School,
a
yeah.
little bit. I mean, we're still abiding by the state laws, but we have to make some changes to that. So
Okay.
that is happening. But thanks for asking about that. Okay, it is 8:01. We're only over by 1 minute, so let's talk about the next meeting, which, boy, let's see, it's March. So how about April, month from now, Lily?
You know
No.
what? Is there anything really pressing? Because this is such a busy time of year for everybody.
Well, it is, but I don't know.
I
It's
think
sort of
it's
good
good to hear what's
Yeah.
going on.
How
But
about
Yeah,
April,
okay.
how
what
about
about
April?
like April 23rd? It's a
Well,
little
that's
more-
really far in advance.
Well,
Um,
then we'll know more from the finance committee and the CIPC and all those guys
That's
will
true.
have gelled a lot more, I
That's
think.
true. Yep. I mean, that's fine. And when people can't make it, they just send me their reports. So does April 23rd at
Yeah.
6:30? Okay.
6:30 on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You
Okay.
are welcome. And I will send that out to everyone. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks,
Aye.
everyone.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you, everybody. All right, stop the recording. Very good.